Hey guys, it is Mel from Melroy and 100% You, just jumping on for our weekly update. We are in mid-July and there's a lot going on at the moment. There's a lot of people sick and like really sick with colds and viruses that take more than a week to get over. These are putting people in bed for days and then coming out of that with coughs and colds and headaches and stomach flus is really taking a toll on people. So it's almost like a deep reset because when you get that sick, it pauses everything in life. And all the things that you want to do, you really can't do. Or when you try and get back to things, you don't have the energy or the capacity to get back to life the way that you knew it before. And so we have to do that reset and then really support ourselves better before we get back. So the theme kind of there is taking the time to work out what we need to be able to support ourselves, which is really interesting because in seeing the clients that are well and that have been able to come in this week, particularly, there's two big themes that are coming through in that. One is seeing the truth in a situation, and that sometimes can be really confronting and hard. We'll talk about that in a sec. And the other one is then from that truth, finding what that means. Does that mean we need a voice or boundaries, or what kind of action or support do we need from that? So again, that same theory of, hey, we have to get better at supporting ourselves. And remember, this is the year of self-support. So if we've been avoiding it, it's meeting us now, whether we're getting sick or in ways that we're confronted in situations that we feel really uneasy. In a lot of clients that have come in this week, there's been expectations that their families or friends or work or relationships expect them to behave this way, or expect them to put up with someone else's behavior, or be okay with it because I'm okay with it. And while we used to kind of be okay with that, we're not. We're really thinking to go, I'm not okay with that being in my space or in my life, or me having to allow someone to have this certain type of behavior. I'm not okay with that anymore. And then when we really sit in that with not being okay, this is when people have been struggling a lot or falling apart a little bit because we don't know what to do once we know we're not okay with it. Because what happened is we just met our truth. And our truth can be really confronting because it wakes us up to a situation that we don't want to continue with. That's really big. It's been going on for a lot of people to really have that pause to see actually there's some things that are going on that I've been okay with that I really have never been okay with, but now I'm really knowing I'm not okay with. There's a shift. There's a shift in a lot of things, and that's particularly meeting us. So it's in the expectations of thinking this way, doing this way, or feeling this way. Other people have covered that for us, and we're waking up to go, do you know what? I'm not okay with that. I don't feel the same way that you do. I perhaps need something different. And so it's stepping out to then reassess what that is. And it's in the stepping out where we find ourselves again. Now, for clients that have come in this week, it's been seeing the truth in work that I'm really being taken advantage of, or someone's putting me down and I'm not okay with being put down. Relationships, particularly knowing that we haven't had a boundary in something for a long time. And yet we look at it and we're not okay with it anymore. How do we get our voice back in that? Because when we do it, sometimes we challenge it once to be, I'm going to say something, and then it's met with confrontation because challenges can often be met with confrontation, which is really hard when we're not confrontational people. And so then we tend to step out and shut ourselves down again. And then we try and go back to living with the expectation that someone else wanted. We're going to do it their way, or think about it their way, or feel their way. But it doesn't work for us anymore. We've tried to do that pattern and now we're really stuck. And so then our bodies or our emotions or everything starts screaming at us to not be okay with that. What do we do? And often it's about finding our voice. And sometimes the first part in the truth is finding our voice to let ourselves hear it. And then secondly, it's allowing ourselves to be able to learn how to say it. And this is where the shift is. Because in saying it, it doesn't necessarily mean that the other person's going to meet you in what you're saying. But if you don't say it, nothing's going to change. So saying it is actually supporting yourself. And if saying it doesn't fix it, it's not necessarily the end. What we do is we then have to work out another way that we get heard. And that is creative. That's when we come in and we look at going, my truth is more important than me abandoning myself. Me knowing this doesn't feel right for me anymore is more important than me now just letting it wash over me and me pretending to be okay with it. Because I now not only know I'm not, but I feel that I'm not. And so then we look at creative ways to go, okay, what is that for you? Now, sometimes this whole part is us practicing how we have our voice, how we have our boundary, how we support ourselves differently. If we stay, if we go, if we take things up further, if it's something to do with work, if we challenge a bigger conversation, if it's something to do with friends or family, and so it's being able to not be scared in that because we're so afraid to upset people, we then stop having a voice for ourselves. But we're moving into us needing to have a better voice and a stronger voice for ourselves. And this week has been all about that shift of people really meeting the truth to go, I'm not okay with this and I don't know what to do about it. So it's finding that depth to go, hey, how come it's hard for you to speak up? What do we need in that space to support you? Is it a bigger perspective? Is it that real foundation that if you continue it this way, the relationship, the work this way, the only person in the end that loses is you. And you don't want that for you anymore. And so it's getting stronger at being able to see the truth and then getting perhaps even more creative at moving to be able to support ourselves in all of the ways. You can't always make the other person do what you want, but if you continue to find the strength to be able to hold your truth and not cave your boundaries, that's a really important part of us meeting each other in real relationships, whether that be work or home or family or friends or otherwise. It's moving to allow ourselves to be there for us. And this can be really new for a lot of us. But the feeling of when you stand up for yourself, the shift that happens for you when you have a boundary or a voice is so important. We used to be okay with pretending that we're okay when we're not okay, but we can feel that now in so many ways that we now need to do something different. That's the old way that we live. And it's moving into this new way of going, how do I support me and my boundaries and having a voice and not being terrified of doing that? And it's getting creative and finding new ways that not only we support each other, but we support ourselves in doing that. So that's this week. It's pretty big for a lot of people. There's a lot of shift and a lot of people being met in uncomfortable situations where they're hearing and listening to themselves. And so if that's you and you need a hand to kind of unpack creative ways that you can support yourself a little bit better, that's my job, what I'm all about. So come hang out with me. I have lots of one-on-ones. I have heaps of workshops that help you really work through seeing a different perspective of something that helps you move to get that empowerment or your power back in certain situations. And so I absolutely love what I do. And I'm here to support you all through life. So that's me. This is Life Unpacked with Mel, and I will talk to you all next week.